Good evening, everybody. This is Potter Stocks, and I'm coming to you guys with a update here on Tesla. So, as per my last video, I was bullish, and that obviously worked out pretty well. We're operating inside of this channel here, and we use two things here. We use my strategy, which is the Potter Box strategy, and I use parallel channels in order to establish control, obviously in a dynamic fashion. So going forward, right, we've had three oscillations up. We got our channel to our lower time frame channel rather, and this is if you're moving up, you have control. And so we established that Tesla was in that control, and we had nice, small, very low volume selling, if you will. Gap down, big squeeze back up. We caught this whole trade. And then, of course, another small gap down. And this is, of course, something that leads people to be very bearish. And that's price is the only thing that we focus on. Where you open ultimately matters and where you close. So going into this next week. It is a short week, but we did close at the 50% mark or cost basis of the Potter box above, right? And so a Potter box is just an area of consolidation. We have buyers, we have sellers, and then in the middle, we have cost basis. The rule is if it breaks this mark, closes on whatever time frame, one to daily to weekly, it will continue until it leaves that area of consolidation and reaches its next new high. And that leads me to our small and insignificant price of 263, which is currently what we are battling with. And then 265 is directly above us. And so that's going to be one of the next price targets. Now, as far as channels are concerned, you can expand, right? Or we can stack them. A lot of the times you could do something like this where you clone it, right? And most of the time. And in fact, if you go back to my previous ideas, we spot these channels way in advance, and because we look for certain things like, well, points of contact, right? So in here, if I was to stack that, I would look for things like that, right, and zoom down into a lower time frame. So I would want to expand that channel, and typically when that happens, you're in a lower channel and you'll see a little bit more volatile movement up into the top channel. So we are looking for Tesla as it did break this dynamic channel down, which doesn't mean anything to us. At the end of the day, it does obviously give us that break, but we only use the Potter boxes first and then channels second. So while the break is confirmed on both of those things, we still must gap up. And that would be preferably outside of the 262. And again, we have another box with a cost basis of 262 32. So you're more than likely going to experience your first rejection around that mark. Now, if we got a good volume or a good day, we also know that we have gaps up above us, right? And so those will be, and that's something that we also did, in this pump was fill a gap. If you're noticing that my chart looks a little bit different, I use after hours. And I also use, rather than the daily, I use our 24-hour time frame on TradingView. So anyway, going forward, I do not use the daily. Going forward, looking at the things like the 24-hour time frame, the bottom of green candles, right? So even right here where you stop and this doji, that's that 262 area. So 262 or 266, excuse me, 30 is going to be that area that must be broken. When that area is broken, this is what we would call a chain reaction or a snowball effect. We're going to be looking for a higher time frame area of consolidation. You'll notice the wick off of that, and that's going to lead us into the price of 270. That's going to be cost basis, again, psychological number. If 270 is broken, I will be targeting 50% of the gap above us. That will be 285. So now going out even further, and I don't have, unfortunately, this analysis. You might see some of the lines from lower time frames, but going out further, right? One of the things that we established last week was that this floor, right, and you can see one, two, right. So we hang on to that floor, and that's been essential. right, to the weekly and the last couple of pullbacks. But that leads me to this, right? This is a much higher time frame, and it does have the potential to still carry further downside. So when I bring this up and I have that, remember that 270 mark I talked about, 271, 270, it is imperative that we break that. If bad news comes around, then this may be an area where we could experience a quick rejection. But ultimately, right, this floor right here, that's 264. We kind of need to get above that. And we kind of would really like to open above that. So a dramatic gap up, which is quite a bit to ask from Tesla. So hopefully news over the weekend. We don't do anything off of hope, but where it opens will tell us everything. I don't use any indicators. I don't use any volume. And you can ask any member or follower of mine. We absolutely are 100% accurate most of the time as far as where things will stay. And as far as price targets go, we hit them. Going forward, as far as a bias is concerned, again, I use my trend, but I do not focus on it entirely. I apologize about the mess here on the chart, but it is not my sole focus. So I am looking for Tesla to give us a solid gap up. If there is a gap down, which unfortunately I think futures have shown us a potential gap down, that may lead us in back down into a small skid, possibly retesting the 251 and 250 area, which is absolutely okay. But after a retest of the imbalance here on a lower time frame, anytime you get a big rip like this, that's when people chase. Usually going to measure 50% of that rip, and that's going to be your imbalance. So anyway, I am temporarily bullish. Obviously, the open, I stay neutral until I see that price open because we take this day by day. I do swing trade. I mostly what most people would call trend trade. So I'll be day trading moves that I have been looking for as far as opens. If you open above a key level or above seller's control, you're going to display sellers, and I'll take both long expiration and shorter longs expiration longs as well underneath. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully this short week proves to bring the same type of volatility, but be prepared for some sideways or indecisive action. If unfortunately that is what short weeks oftentimes can bring, but that is not a statistic again that we're going to bring into the trading week. We're going to focus on price, and we're going to make the bread. So anyway, have a great night.